Welcome back. Oh, that's finally counterculture. Welcome back to Nightly Nonsense, where we make some sense out of the nonsense. Pastor Mark's not here, so that means this is counterculture. Isn't counterculture. This is Nightly Nonsense. This is why you shouldn't try to do things on the fly like that. Listen, we're in the story of Samson at the moment. I want to finish this up, not the story of Samson, my point. We've been talking about some Mother's Day stuff, right? So, excited because I said last night to you, right? Let me go back 2 nights ago. Talked about reading Deuteronomy 28. Talked about cursing. Talked about blessing. If you want blessing, you have to be obedient, right? And we get into the story of Samson. We find out that his mom, right, was talked to by an angel. And the angel said, hey, listen, you're going to have a son. Here's what you need to do. Instructions, right? So again, part of the deal with when God births something in you, right? When he births something through you, is we want to seek instructions, right? The instructions for Samson were pretty simple. He's a Nazirite. He's going to be set apart for God. Let me challenge you on that right now, because I think sometimes we read a story like this and we don't understand, right? We don't understand what it means to be set apart. Because we want to be set apart without being apart. So we want to be set of, right? No part added. If God says, hey, you're going to be set apart, do you know what that means? Right? For John the Baptist, it meant, hey, you're going to the wilderness. And you're going to eat some locusts. And you're going to do some camel hair clothing. Now, zero clue who made him his camel hair clothing, right? That's a pretty impressive thing, actually, right? Unless you just glue it together on a piece of paper or something. But John the Baptist, set apart, right? Again, when you go to the story of Paul and Barnabas, right? What happened? They said that the elders came together and said, hey, set apart for yourself some people. So they set apart Paul and Barnabas. Guess what? The rest of the guys didn't go out on the trips. They didn't get beaten. They didn't get imprisoned in these moments. They didn't get shipwrecked. They didn't get bit by snakes. They didn't get any of the stuff. They weren't set apart. When they picked the deacons, the first deacons, what happened? Set apart for yourself 7 men filled with the Holy Spirit, capable of doing these things, right? Set apart. Jesus, over and over, set apart his disciples from the mass, from the crowd. We live in a culture today where we don't want to be set apart, but we want to be set apart. We want to be special without the apart part. Listen, in God's economy, being special usually means set apart. It does not mean starved from people, attention, and affection. It means set apart. You're going to be different. You're going to be different. Now, in Samson's case, it's about no wine for the mom, no wine for him, and long hair, right? That's it. When Samson's dad calls the angel back and says, whoa, can you give us the list of instructions for this boy? They don't add anything. God didn't add anything except for make this kid look different than everybody else. Man, that is a parent's worst nightmare. But what if God asks you to set your kids apart from all the other kids? You can play baseball, you can play sports, but you can't do this. They need to look different on the field. They need to look different in the classroom. They need to look different. Like, talking to some friends on Tuesday night, we got into an argument again about, it was a good argument, it was a trashing argument, about Christian kids being in the secular public school. Immediately, people, and 2 of these guys are, they're teachers, right? They immediately said if we had kids today, we would not have them in the public classroom, right? In the schoolroom. It's really funny because these are 2 guys that I argued years ago with about we can't just pull all the Christians out of school. We can't pull them all out of school because they got to be in there and they got to be being a testimony. Here's the deal. Most parents want their kids to be in the public school because they want their kids to be just like everybody else. They're not working to have your kids set apart. There's no difference between your kid and the other kids, except for maybe your kid knows who Jesus is and goes to church when it's convenient for you and he doesn't have a soccer game. But exactly how is your kid going to be different than everybody else when everybody else is skipping church on Sunday to go to the soccer game and your kid is joining them? Oh, wait, how different is your kid going to be, right? When they go to school and they're doing exactly, partaking in everything that everybody else is. When they go to every birthday party, when they go to every dance, everything, when they're doing everything that everybody else is, you think that just their presence at these places is going to be enough. But if you're not set apart, your presence at some place isn't enough. Do you know, even at church, we need people who are set apart. We need people who are at church set apart for God. They're seeing things differently. They're hearing things differently. They're talking differently. So here's the question tonight. The Nonsense stepped on a bunch of toes, and you're all going to look around and go, oh, Andy, you have a son, and is he set apart? Is he different? You know what? The answer to that question is, in some ways, in some ways he's set apart. In some ways he's a normal kid struggling. In some ways I'm normal parent struggling. This is the way it works. The question here is, are you going to be obedient when God tells you, hey, set apart your children? A godly mother, more than anything in the world, wants her children to have a personal, life-changing, eternal saving relationship with Jesus Christ. She wants her kids to go to heaven, to be successful in the eyes of God, not to be successful in the eyes of man. Let me leave you with this last thought. That's a true statement. Here's why I know it's a true statement. Because if Mary had had her way, Jesus would never have been on a cross. But from the very beginning, she knew that Jesus was set apart. And so what did she do? She went with God's way, not her way. Right? God's way, not her way. Do you want your kids to be set apart for God? By the way, they already are by God. God already wants you to give them to him from the womb. From the minute they took the first breath, are you in tune with what God has for your children? If that answer has been no, it can change to yes, and you can start today. It's not too late. It's never too late. Don't let the world tell you that. Don't let people tell you that just because they're 18 or 25 or 55 or whatever. No, it's never too late to set your children apart for God. Right? They've already been that way by God. You can pray and you can teach and you can change. So there's my challenge for you. You want to make some sense out of the nonsense all around you? Well, how about you set apart yourself and then set apart your kids for God, what he wants. By the way, as defined by him, not defined by you. Hey, if you're brave enough, tell me that you want your kids set apart from God. That'd be great to have some comments, some likes, something that would say, hey, yep, I'm all in on this. We'll see you next time. Nightly Nonsense.